Running a triathlon in Marlboro, green construction, and musical therapy for kids. The magazine starts now. Welcome to another edition of the magazine. I'm Dan Ginden. We're now in the middle of the summer, and although it hasn't quite felt that way, you still see people running, biking, and swimming. And on July 26th, you may have seen more runners, bikers, and swimmers than usual. To explain why that was, here's Kristen Doucette.
The 2009 Marlboro Triathlon drew in hundreds of athletes and spectators to the area, and in case you missed it, here's a recap. Let's go back to July 26th, 2009. More than 500 athletes swam, biked, and ran on Sunday, July 26, 2009, in the first Marlboro Triathlon on a course that spanned through Marlboro and Hudson. The race hosted elite athletes that came from all different parts of the country. About 95% of the participants were from outside of Marlboro and Hudson.
It's exciting to watch this thing we've planned for a year, come to fruition, and from everything I'm hearing, really positive stuff from the athletes. And it's a challenging course, but I think it's really been able to show off what the Marlboro area and what we have around here, and even the type of event that we can put on here. So yeah, so far, very happy.
Many out-of-town athletes and spectators stayed at local hotels the night before, which helped fuel area businesses. In addition, race proceeds benefited Children's Hospital Boston, and concession stand proceeds went straight to the Marlboro Public Schools Foundation. Co-founded by local triathlete coach Tim Crowley, professional triathlete and 2008 Olympian Jared Shoemaker, and race organizer Bill Burnett said Marlboro's location was the best local venue they found for a local triathlon. The event was part of Bill Burnett's Commonwealth Triathlon Series, which also includes the Cohasset and the Gloucester Triathlons. Jared and Tim designed the course that took place here in the city. The Marlboro Sprint Triathlon featured a 1/3 mile swim in the Fort Meadow Reservoir, a 15-mile bike ride around the reservoir, and a 3.3-mile run that ended at Marlboro High School. Hours before the race began, athletes arrived at Marlboro High School for body marking and registration. After completing registration, athletes were bantering with friends, warming up, having their bicycles examined, and preparing mentally for what was sure to be a tough race ahead. On race morning, several areas of the city were totally taken over. High school grounds were taken from this to this, and from this to this. The causeway near the Fort Meadow Reservoir was taken from this to this, this to this, and this to this. With the causeway full of spectators, the athletes were ready to go.
Ready to go. Ready to go.
The Sprint Triathlon began at 9 a.m. sharp with race director Bill Burnett giving a pre-race pep talk. A little pre-race rain occurred just as the elite athletes took to the water, but cleared quickly as the other heats of athletes began their swim. The race began with pro and elite athletes, next was men ages 39 and under, then men ages 40 and over, next was women ages 39 and under, Following were women ages 40 and over, and finally, beginner women and men, followed by relay teams. As athletes exited the Fort Meadow Reservoir, they were directed straight to the causeway where their race bikes were lined up. Athletes walked briskly to their bikes, hopped on, and began the cycling portion of the race. The 3-loop bike course ran up Reservoir Street and Marlborough Street into Hudson, down Causeway Street and Stevens Street, and straight through the high school grounds. Once athletes completed the bike course, they parked their bikes and began the running portion. The 2-loop running course started at the high school, headed down Stevens Street into the middle school grounds, and down Route 85 past the police station. To ensure a safe race, the event paid for 15 police detail officers, 3 ambulances, and a dive team in the water for the swimming portion. The event featured 25 competitors from Marlborough and Hudson and the father-son team of Dick and Rick Hoyt. The Hoyts have competed in more than 200 triathlon events.
Well, when we first started, we were doing 50 a year. And last year we said we'd cut down, that we were only going to do 25, and we did 37. But now we've competed in 27 Boston marathons. We've done over 270 triathlons. And this is really special. We were just inducted into the Ironman Triathlon Hall of Fame out in Hawaii last October. And there's only been 25 people in the world inducted.
Residents from Hopkinton to Boston know them for doing the Boston Marathon 27 times, with Dick pushing Rick, a paraplegic, in a wheelchair the whole way. This year's triathlon was Team Hoyt's 1,004th racing event.
It was very good, you know. It was a nice swim out there. We're lucky, you know, we got a few little showers, but nothing serious. And the swim was good. Then we hit the bike, and the bike was a little tough. It's got some hills out there, but that's what triathlon's all about. You don't want a flat course. You need a challenge, you know, going out.
69-year-old Dick Hoyt just had hernia surgery on June 24th, but the doctor gave him the okay to train just last week.
It's the first time I had Rick in the boat, and it's the first time he's been on the bike, and the first time in a running chair for a month. So, you know, but I felt strong. And the hills were challenging. It's going to make me stronger. You know, going out on a run, there was a couple hills going out. But then it was flat coming back, so it evened out all together. But they did a great job, and especially for the first one. They had, 550 or 600 athletes. And to organize it and do it the way they did it, they just did an outstanding job.
Leading the way for the men was Ethan Brown of Lowell, who won the men's portion of the competition.
When people hear that there's a triathlon in their area, they're kind of curious, and a race like this has so many people doing their first one, and it's just great because it spurs a lifestyle of fitness and, you know, eating healthy and that whole thing. It's a great sport and has a great influence on the community, and I hope it continues to spread in the area.
For a first-time triathlon event here in the city, Brown said the transition areas, which can be tricky to set up, were right on point.
They're right there when you come out of the water, and took off my wetsuit, hopped on my bike, and then kind of came in here and had my run shoes lined up, and see all this. It was great. It was a well-run race and well set up.
Leading the ladies to the finish line was Amanda Felder, who recently moved to the New England area from La Jolla, California.
It's amazing. It was the first year this race was put on, and from my point of view, everything went really smoothly. So that was pretty incredible.
Felder is training for the Olympics, and races like this help her to prepare.
It's a great preparation. I actually have a race in 2 weeks, so this was perfect timing to prepare for that race.
Alicia Kays, coming in second, who's married to Jared Shoemaker, the co-founder of this event, says this race was something she really wanted to participate in.
We did a lot of work with the Children's Hospital leading into this. We actually were blessed enough to go to the Children's Hospital and get to meet some fantastic little kids. And that, just seeing them and seeing what they go through on a daily basis made the pain today feel like nothing. So I was thinking of them definitely, and I knew this was an important cause for the community as well. I know a lot of the money today is going to the schools, so there's just 2 really great causes. So, and just the chance to race in front of my friends and family was great.
An awards ceremony followed the completion of all athletes. Triathlon organizers commented that the crowd was not as big as they would have liked, but it was most likely because of the morning rain that kept spectators away.
I think with any event, you're going to go back afterwards to find those little things, but all the big things I think went really, really well. From what I know right now, on the course was very safe, even though it rained a little bit, so that's really good. So the other thing you want to do is give people a really good, safe event that's challenging, and if we can do that and people are happy, they'll come back.
11 minor bike accidents occurred throughout the morning, but overall the course worked well and the event was a success.
It was fantastic. I can't believe how wonderful the day turned out. I think we were all a little worried this morning with the rain because of the bikers and some of the turns. We were concerned about the wet roadways, but it went flawlessly. And I've had some of the elite athletes come up and say it was a great course. The race coordinators are so happy that everything went well. The coordination between Hudson and helping out, it's just, I couldn't have asked for it to go better.
Race managers are still calculating how much money was raised for Children's Hospital Boston, and organizers are already looking ahead to next year's triathlon, which they want to incorporate with Mungro's 350th anniversary celebration.
For a first-year event, I mean, I honestly think it's gone off really, really well.
So there you have it, all the action of the 2009 triathlon. Let's take one last look at the blood, sweat, and tears of this year's event. Until next year, I'm Kristen Doucette for The Magazine.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
All communities seem to be doing better when it comes to erasing our carbon footprints. There is one neighborhood in Hudson that has gone one step further. Carl Wilhelm has the story.
From the stone steps I'm standing on to the shrubbery that surrounds me, or even these windows on the side of this home, everything here in this community has a purpose. Let me welcome you to Deer Path Farms in Hudson, Massachusetts.
We are now at Deer Path in Hudson, Massachusetts, which is a home we built. It's a very unusual townhouse development where the individual buyer, we in this particular case, design our own house.
For Deer Path resident John Walker, moving into a community unlike any other in the country was something that just sort of happened.
I found the place just by accident driving around. Drove in on a snowy day, and Sunday morning, and Jerry happened to be there, so I remember calling my fiancée at the time saying, this is where I want to live.
So what makes this community unlike any other? Developer and architect Jerry Sarno explains.
It's a creation that I came up with in the late 60s when I read an article from the Harvard Business Review that said that people in the future would want to spend more time enjoying themselves and less time catering to their homes. And at that time, condominiums were coming across the country, and people were getting a choice of Model A or Model B or Model C. And as a young architecture student, I thought, that's terrible.
Freedom in a condominium complex is not common. There's usually high fees that constantly go up, or plenty of rules and regulations. But here at Deer Path, there really is only a simple guideline that developer Jerry Sarno asks that you follow.
The main objective is that people have a home that they're going to be happy living in, and that's going to be energy efficient.
Being energy efficient is important to this community, and it's discussed throughout the entire design process.
What we do during the design concept, we talk to each homeowner over a period of weeks and months so that the type of home and the type of space that they desire can be obtained. And we talk about the energy efficiency of each space and what they would like to accomplish through their own usage of interior finishes. In the summertime, we have deciduous trees that have been transplanted strategically around each home to shade the home from the sun's warmth and help air condition the homes.
I've had the house tested for energy efficiency, and I use half the energy of a typical house. And that's in total BTUs. I also use the pellets, which are further savings or carbon neutral, considered carbon neutral. But my total energy use is only about half of what a typical house is.
From vaulted ceilings to sizable windows, everything in this design process is up to you.
We don't want anybody to just rush through something to get it done just because they're trying to meet a price. To me, it's a joy. To me, it's not work. It's being able to have a community where people are happy is a wonderful experience.
So what exactly do one of these homes look like? Well, John Walker gave us an inside look at what went into his design.
Here it is in the afternoon. This is an inside unit, and there's no need for lighting, okay, which you hardly ever find anywhere. And that's because of the way he laid out both the skylighting and the windows. So the biggest where we're sitting right now, we wanted the living and the kitchen area to be together, because in terms of entertainment, everybody winds up in the kitchen. Nobody in the living room, or they're split and nobody can talk. And so we wanted the stove or the stovetop to be facing out, not in. Most places you see it's facing into the wall. So that means who's ever cooking is back to the rest of everybody else. The spiral staircase is kind of a trademark of the area. Most of the homes have a spiral staircase, so we gotta have that. And the dining area as needed, I've set up my computer now, so I can work there as well. And then this whole area was originally set as an office. This is a fold-out couch, so we can use it as a bedroom. There's a bath right around the corner. So we set this area up as my office. Everything is totally open. And as you can see the room, it's not a full wall, so that it's really one room in terms of airflow. But we can close the doors. What we do, the vents, the skylights can be opened. So for last night, because it's been such a cold, was the first time I've opened it all summer. And so we get some draft going through. Now we're air conditioned, so what I do again to save energy is set the thermostat 1 degree below the inside temperature, because the dryness is much more important than the temperature. So it's probably 78 degrees inside here, but it's comfortable. Again, this is how we laid it out, so every one of these units is different.
Right now, Deer Path Farms is the only community of its kind. But who knows? By the year 2050, we could all be living in communities such as this one. For the magazine, I'm Carl Wilhelm.
Finally, in this issue of the magazine, Kelly McLaughlin shows us how some teachers use music to help young children's minds develop.
The Marlboro Public School System always seems to be a step ahead of the game. This year, they've been able to offer a music therapy program for children with special needs.
As part of our adaptive preschool this year, we were fortunate enough to be given a grant that has allowed us to bring a music therapist in to work with our children every other week for about 45 minutes. It's been a wonderful experience for the staff, for the kids. Music is one of Howard Gardner's 8 multiple intelligences, so it's another way to tap into kids and their potential.
The program is funded by a nonprofit organization called Kate's Voice.
We put out a request for proposals back in September, August, September of this 2007, and classes would apply for a grant, which would give them every other week of 1 hour of music therapy or 45 minutes of music therapy for the whole school year.
The Marlboro Preschool applied for a grant through Kate's Voice.
The grant was brought to us through our grant writer. And I took a look at it and spoke to Tina and decided that it was a fantastic opportunity for my children to possibly be able to take part in this kind of an activity.
We ended up getting about 25 completely qualified applications, and we had only 8 grants to give.
We had to answer various questions about if we already had music therapy or music in our system, which we do not at this level at this moment, what we thought would benefit the children, why we thought music would be a benefit to them, and what music could bring to our program.
We chose them sort of based on the composition of the class, what kind of needs the students had, the ages. We tried to sort of diversify. We didn't want to give all the grants out to the younger students. I think this class in particular is 3 to 5 years of age. We tried to give some to the preschool, some to sort of the 7, 8-year-old range, and then some even we've given to high school age and up to the age of 20.
We actually started music therapy in October, and we will be able to offer it for the entire school year this year. We're hoping that Kate's Voice is the organization that funded the program for us. That's who we wrote the grant for. And we're really hoping that they will give us the opportunity to apply again next year so that we would be able to continue.
Kate's Voice is dedicated to helping students with disabilities through the use of music.
My husband Mark and I are the founders. We've been in existence about 2 years, but we started giving grants out about a year ago. The reason why we started it is that we have a daughter, Kate, who's 9, and she has special needs. And we saw how much she loved music and what it did for her and her peers, and just how amazing it was. And so we wanted to make it available to more special needs students.
Kate's Voice not only wants to reach as many special needs students as possible, but also wants to promote music therapy in schools.
Just opening eyes up to that, and it is a real therapy. And hopefully, as time goes on, it will be covered more and more under insurance and in school programs.
The Kate's Voice grant funds a music therapy teacher to come in once a week for 45 minutes to work with a 3 to 5-year-old age group at the Marlboro Early Childhood Center.
The therapy sessions are amazing, and Kathleen is great. She usually comes in with a lesson plan of things she wants to do, but then she will take off on what the children are doing. So if a certain child is vocalizing while she's singing, she may approach that child and vocalize back and forth and engage in a turn-taking opportunity.
This has been the first of the Kate's Voice grants that I've worked on, but I'm so glad because there's so many preschools in our state that don't have music, whether they're for typically developing children or children with special needs, and I'm just shocked by that since I've learned about that. And so the Marlboro program had written a grant and had spoken with me throughout the summer, and was so pleased when we got it. So we started in the fall.
She brings in a lot of gross motor and works very closely with our speech and language pathologist as well as our PT, our physical therapist.
She also plays music for the children to elicit responses from them. And what's really nice about music is that it doesn't matter if a child is able to speak or not speak, they're able to relate to the music and they're able to express themselves through movement.
Kathleen usually starts with the introduction song, and it allows for them to either do a way to speak or sing part of the song, so it allows them to vocally participate. And then she incorporates different types of instruments that are just captivating the kids' interest and allow for them to work on some of these skills kind of indirectly.
There's always a hello and a goodbye song where the children get a chance to greet. Everything else in between are based on language opportunities, so I stopped a new instrument for them to sign for more or ask for more of it. There's language portions, there are movement portions, they're usually, and everything I try to do is multisensory, so I want things for them to see, for them to hear, for them to touch. And so I really like instruments like that ocean drum is a nice example, where it's just very visually appealing. You know, and one side of the drum has a different feeling than the other side of the drum, and you know, I can take this a long ways. But I like things that are multi-sensory experiences, particularly for these children that need good sensory input, integrated input.
Kathleen explains how important it is for these children to use music therapy for their developmental needs.
It's critical, and it's the easiest way for them to pick up these skills. Like as a speech therapist, I often say my hands are often tied. There's far less that I feel like I can accomplish as a speech therapist through the type of protocols that we have. And they're good and they've been developed after years. But as a music therapist, I feel like the world is wide open. I see children responding in ways that I never get to see them in other areas. And what we see, like with the little boy named Alan, he in the beginning was jumping always because he's a jumper and he has that energy. But now he sits and he's very quiet in his chair. He will finally leap out of his chair because he sees something that's so desirable. And now he's speaking. You know, he actually was speaking, and in the last 3 weeks I've seen this more and more.
And how important it is for children with special needs to start these programs as early as possible, as to not miss critical windows of development.
The earlier the better. From the 0 to 7 is a critical window. A child who has limited range of motion may reach for an instrument that they find really desirable, versus if you're doing something in physical therapy and trying to make them stretch, it's just less effective because there isn't that compelling factor. So from a neurological standpoint, music creates both a focus and a distraction.
She's really able to capture their attention. It's allow for them to participate at their own level of functioning, and they've really been able to do that, really been able to participate with it. I think it helps work on some of those skills that that they need to work on to be incorporated into the other classrooms.
I'm very happy that we've had the opportunity to do this. I think that we have all benefited, the children as well as the staff. And it's a fantastic opportunity that I do hope we can continue in the future.
I think that the parents that we work with are always great. They're very open-minded. They put a lot of faith in us, and especially in Sue and her staff. And I think that they're just excited whenever we're trying something new. I think that they really have been supportive of the program. We also do see an increase in the amount of vocalization that the children have. Even if they're not speaking with words, we see a lot more vocalization. So they're showing a lot of relatedness to Kathleen as she goes through things.
Not to say that every child across the board needs a music therapist, but I think, you know, music as a way is another way to address learning.
We found it very, very good for some of our nonverbal students.
Music is the best thing in the world, so I think it helps them to do some of the things by allowing them to feel comfortable in a nurturing environment.
Music taps into another part of children's brain development. It really enables us to tap into and get them to respond to things where they might not do just on a spoken verbal level. We often use that within the classroom when we're giving directions. We may sing to them as we're washing hands or doing different things and elicit better responses. So in looking at that, we decided that music therapy would really be a great way to work on communication, work on gross motor, work on cognitive skills, and that is all encompassed in her sessions.
I think it's across your lifespan you can create joy and comfort for yourself and have social circles that are meaningful. We know that people get ill less often when they have good social circles, that they have fewer complaints, fewer prescriptions. I mean, there's just so much about that allows us to grow old robustly. And music is something you can do really up until the end of your life.
It allows them to use the communication. We work on gross motor a lot. So in seeing that, I decided to see if we could give it a shot.
The money so far has come from family, and we've had some donations from friends that are starting to come in, and we hope to, in the spring, have a big fundraiser at our house with our friends and ask for donations that way. And my husband plans on going out to corporations and trying to get corporate donations.
The Marlboro Early Childhood Center was lucky enough to get the full grant for music therapy, but will have to reapply next year. If you want to ensure that Kate's Voice has enough money to give out these grants, please visit katesvoice.org for more information on how you can donate. For the magazine, I'm Kelly McLaughlin.
Thanks, Kelly, and thanks to our viewers for watching. That will do it for this issue of the magazine. Next month, Jennifer Tyrell will take a look at the medical side of massage therapy. For all of us here at WMCT-TV, I'm Dan Ginden. See you in September.